So now that we know definitively what's under Victor Rookwood's hat, there's another pressing question that needs to be answered. And that is what actually happened during that wand mastery battle. I happened to be lucky enough to have a glitched out game the other day, and for some reason, I was able to capture the battle taking place during daylight. And I got the footage, of course, of Victor Rookwood, quote unquote, exploding. But as you can see from this slowed down version, it's more like he disappears and then an explosion happens. There is some debris, which I, of course, inspected very closely in photo mode, and it's just like random shapes of dark something. I'm guessing it's supposed to be fabric. Look, I'm biased. I desperately do not want Victor Rookwood to be dead. Now, I understand, number one, he never existed to begin with. And number two, even if he was still alive in 1891, definitely wouldn't be alive now. All that aside, for some reason I'm very attached to the idea of him not having died in that battle, but although I'm willing to admit that that's the outcome that I would like to see, it's not completely unsubstantiated. So, for instance, as you can see in this footage, when the curse, whatever it is, gets close to him, it looks like it's a few feet away, he disappears. He's just gone. And I did look at footage of ancient magic finishers because in every other situation, the person leaves a body. So I looked at ancient magic finisher video, and when you do explode people with ancient magic, you literally watch their body break into pieces and explode. In this case, he totally disappears, and then, as you can see, an explosion happens. So I call it disploding. He disappears, and then he explodes. So, or something, an explosion happens, okay? We don't really know that he exploded, although that's certainly the implication and what the developers wanted us to think. I'm always skeptical of what someone else seems to want me to think. So let's go on. Also, out of nowhere, there's this white light thing that happens, and I don't know what that is. So the footage itself is one thing. The other questions that I have about his supposed demise, I have addressed in my fanfic, Devoutly to Be Wished, in the first chapter. So if you don't want to read it, you don't have to read it. In the first chapter of Devoutly, I explain, or I bring up the points that there was no body. Like I said, everyone else leaves a body. Everyone else, you see them explode. None of his people. This is the thing that I think is most telling. Now, this could have just been developers getting lazy, not planning well, because there's nothing in the game files that I've seen as far as voice clips, but I don't have a gaming PC, so I can't go into the files myself, or I would. Trust me, I would be digging out every last piece of evidence. In the voice clips and the unused voice clips, I have gone through like every single Dark Wizard voice clip that exists. And there are no mentions of him being dead. You, as the player, are literally the only one that says anything about him being dead. That doesn't mean he's not dead, but it is a little bit weird because he was the big baddie. Plus, he was very influential with the ministry. You would think that he would at least get something to substantiate him being actually dead. But no, there's nothing. There's radio silence. And this is particularly telling because the Ashwinders and Poachers do say things about you sending Harlow to Azkaban, and they do talk incessantly about Iona Morgan. And if you don't know who that is, well, you are not alone because she is a random infamous foe. Blink and you miss it. You killed her at some point, and they will not stop bitching about it. Okay? So there's that. There's all that. That seems weird and sus to me, especially because his people are always singing his praises. Yeah, sometimes in the voice clips they're talking shit too, but a lot of them are very gung ho and very passionate about being in his employ. So there's that. It's definitely not a settled topic, but there is a possibility that Anne's curse may have been lifted if he died. Of course, we don't see any of that. We see nothing about Anne after the whole Solomon thing, so we really don't know. But, you know, if they wanted to give us a happy ending, they could have, and I think that's meaningful. For whatever reason, they left a lot of loose ends. It does leave room for things to be settled in a next game, especially for us crazy people that are way too emotionally attached to these characters. So I wouldn't say 100% sure he is not dead. I'm definitely leaning towards him not being dead. As of recording this, I have a poll on Tumblr to assess your feelings on the question. You can find my Tumblr on rookwoodgroup.org and let me know your thoughts. Let me know why you think he's dead, why you think he might be alive, maybe how, if he didn't die, what actually happened. I hate to say this, but it is also possible that the reason we can't find any references to Daddy Rookwood's demise in the voice clips, which I've gone through extensively, and the fact that his explosion animation is awkward is maybe just bad planning or bad execution on the part of the developers. Gosh, I really hope that's not the case, but it's so weird to me that they would leave such a big thing like that to the end. Like, okay, Harlow ends up in Azkaban, you constantly hear about it from everyone. There's not a single peep about Victor Rookwood, and it's so bizarre. It can't. It's possible they just did a bad job. They did a bad job in other ways. There's a lot that we're missing that is in the voice files, and that's what's really confusing to me because things that we got aren't missing from the voice files. So that's kind of weird. So I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. Yeah, so people have different theories. I'd love to hear yours. And this has been a long-winded video and much longer than I expected. So thanks for bearing with me.